know what? It is. We're live. What's happening, men? It's Tim Turner. I'm the head football coach at the Champaign High School. I don't know if you guys can see what I can see, but on my screen is production. Y'all, it's showing Nate. That is not me. My handsome face is here. It is not the junior varsity. Along with me is Coach Watkins from Concordia, the defensive line coach. The defensive coordinator at Concordia. Coach, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good, Coach. I'm excited, especially for our guests, and I'm excited to learn about your weekend too. I know before we got online, you were telling me about your game plan. Tell me about. So for a team like that, a team that you already been, you're going to face maybe 6 months ago, how did you continue to game plan for them with the staff and even the players?
Right. Well, so we took our summer and we just broke our summer down and really just focused on us over the summer. And so, there hadn't been a lot of talk about it's Danville that we play. There hadn't been a lot of talk about Danville.
Okay.
So now we're just starting to gear up to get ready for them, knowing that, they're going to be pretty much the same team as they were last year. That's one of the beauties of, playing in our conference. You know what you're going to get most weeks. So we're spending the next couple of weeks now just getting ready for them. And the way I'll do things is, we'll spend the next couple of weeks getting ready for Danville. Okay. And then a couple of weeks, so we play on the 20th.
Gotcha.
So a week before that game week, we'll go back to just focusing on us again.
Gotcha.
Right? Go back to fundamentals, just thinking about doing the things that Champaign Central needs to do to be better. And then that final week, obviously going into game week, we'll focus on Danville and what Danville has to offer for us. So I'm excited, man. It's football time.
Right.
It don't seem like it should be. It don't seem like it should be, but it's football time. Hey, before we get going here, Coach, let me check in on the chat line. Got a couple guys already checked in. Jason Eddings, Coach, appreciate you for joining us. Nate Allball, of course, is with us. Pops Allball is in Georgia. He says it's cold in Georgia. I can't believe that. Coach Warren is checking in from the frozen Tulsa, and Coach Gardner's checking in as well. Guys, this month we are sponsored again by the QB School. The QB School is the home of the best football analysis on YouTube. 8 million viewers and over 100,000 subscribers have watched the J.T. O'Sullivan, former NFL QB with a PhD, break down football. In addition, the new QB School course entitled Master Pass Protection, A QB's Lens, is available right now. There's also a free Pass Pro quiz online that'll test your knowledge and rank you. You can visit them at theqbschool.com. Also, check us out at Chief Pigskin. We're always doing things. It's always football time at Chief Pigskin. So check us out at clinic.chiefpigskin.com and at thestore.chiefpigskin.com. Coach, I think we need to get rolling, man. I'm so excited for our guest today. I think we need to just jump right into it. Today's guest is Coach Cedric Douglas. He's the defensive line coach from UMass. So our first D1 guy, and I'm ready to just jump right in, Coach. So let's let him in.
Before we begin, though, I got to give a shout out. I hope he's listening right now. I told him I would. Coach Russman. So Coach Russman put this all together. Coach Russman is my D-line coach. He's our director of sports performance. He's also the assistant head coach, so he wears a lot of titles around here.
Nice.
And he's been listening since day one, and I know him and Coach Douglas are really close. He was like, "Hey, my guy, would you mind having him on?" I was like, "Absolutely."
Would we mind? Wait, Coach Douglas, welcome. Coach,
what's going on?
I'm Tim Turner. I'm the head football coach at Champaign Central High School in Champaign, Illinois. Of course, Coach Watkins. It sounds like you guys know each other a little bit. Yeah. It's a pleasure to have you on, my man. What we do on this show is we just hanging out. We're talking a little bit of ball. We want to get to know you, of course, a little bit. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first thing I heard you on there, talking about my man Rusty, so I had to represent with the.
I see you, Northern Michigan.
But no, I played at Northern Michigan University, Division II football, up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I'm not scared of this cold weather right now. Originally from Southeast Michigan, a little bit of a country dude. I ain't gonna lie, because I got my dad's side of the family is from Mississippi. My mom's side of the family is from Alabama. So, even though I grew up in Southeast Michigan, I kind of got that a little bit, to me. So.
Got some country boy, huh? Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You know, my father passed when I was 8. He had a brain cancer, and so like he kind of it kind of pushed me down the road that eventually ended up to me coaching. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. Could you mind elaborating on that story a little bit, Coach?
Yeah. So you know, my mother, she was going to school at the University of Michigan. You know, she did her undergrad at Eastern Michigan. Met my father. My father, I'd say around 5 or 6, started getting sick, and he ended up being diagnosed with brain cancer. My mother was always in education. She was in special education, came into social work. That actually ended up becoming where I started to go with my education. So just kind of growing up, it was really just me and my mom after my dad passed. Like he passed away when I was about 8 years old. He was only 29 years old at the time. So it was a weird deal when my 30th birthday, you know what I mean? And knowing that I had outlived my dad, it was a crazy feeling. But, you know, I think ultimately when it came to coaching, my mom's way of kind of helping me become a man, she's a woman, and my mom is awesome. You know, she's tough as they come. All my friends will tell you that. But at the end of the day, you know, being raised by a man it's an important thing to have that father figure. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
So, you know, she kept pushing me into different sports. I anything with a ball, some sports without a ball. Like I swam, I played baseball, I played basketball, football, soccer, tennis, like legitimately anything you can think of. And just along the way, I kept meeting men that kind of would be, you know, that you could look to, you know what I mean? Because I had to figure it out on my own. You know, I remember the first time my mom came out to watch me play baseball, and I was like pretty good with my mitt, but I was terrified of the ball. Like when they started throwing fast pitch, I was like, man, I don't know. Yeah. So my mom pulled me to the side of the game. She said, you know, because she was working on the Detroit's east side, and I was playing, like, we lived out in Belleville at the time. And so she would come out there. She said, hey, if I have to drive this far to come in there and see you sit in the box like you scared to be there, like we're going to have a problem. Like that won't happen again. And so my mom never played sports her entire life, but she got out there and she had a baseball and she was trying to throw that thing, and after 5, I was like, all right, I figured it out. The very next year I won a home run derby. You know what I mean? It was just, she always was like, you know, we don't have excuses. We got to figure this out. You know what I mean? And like, you're not going to be a statistic as a young black male growing up without a father, and you end up where the statistics say you will. We're not doing that. We don't do that in this family. So it kind of was, you know, the way I kind of grew up, and, you know, I eventually started to gravitate toward football.
Gotcha.
And then I know you said you played college in Northern Michigan. When was it where you knew that you wanted to coach, you know, possibly at the high school level or college level?
That's the funny thing. I really never really thought I was going to get into coaching. I really didn't. So I kind of followed in my mom's footsteps. My family, we have a lot of educators. So I went to school to be Northern Michigan. One of the biggest things they're known for is their education program. So I went into special education, secondary ed, and history was my minor. Like, so I was ready to go do that. Like I was all in. I love kids, and I love just working with different groups. The emotional impairment side, I felt like kind of spoke to my spirit a little bit more. And, you know, when I got done, I was still trying to chase that dream of playing, hopefully, you know, somebody was going to give me a call. And, you know, I waited on my phone long enough. And then finally, you know, I ended up getting on with this Arena 2 football team down in Florida. And my buddy, he goes, look, you know, you're not really ready to go to the classroom and just do that, man. Like, you know, you can come down here and play, but there's a school down here called Ave Maria, and they're just now starting up football. So like that last year, I was still doing my student teaching at Lincoln High School. So I dipped my toes in the water with coaching, you know, and I was like, I mean, I like it, I do, you know. I was kind of like, I just don't know though. We'll see. Maybe, you know, that becomes the thing, I'll do it. And so I go down there, and he goes, well, you know, we have a need for a running backs coach. And this dude eventually became the best man in my wedding, you know what I mean? And so he's like, it's a job coaching running backs. I was like, dude, I mean, last time I had a ball in my hands, I was in high school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was an outside linebacker. Like, you don't got nothing on defense. And he's like, nah, but I mean, you down here already. You're going to be in Southwest Florida. You playing down here. Like, I mean, so I would like literally get done with my practice as a coach, as a practice, and then go coach. And so it was just interesting, but that's kind of how that played out. And so that's when I got into coaching. Now, it was not like I went into college ball and I was, I'm gonna leave this and be a coach one day. Like, not at all.
That's interesting. You think when folks think about Division I coaches that's the path that was always the goal, or at least one of the goals. So thinking through that now that you've been there for a while, how long have you been coaching Division I ball?
8 years now.
8 years, and
well,
do you have
Division I football? I've been at the Division I level this will be my 3rd season at UMass, and then I was 2 years prior at Arkansas State as a grad assistant.
Gotcha. And so it sounds like about 8 years total then,
yeah,
right?
8 years total coaching. Yeah.
Gotcha. And do you have any aspirations to be a head coach, or what have you thought that far yet?
I haven't really got that far yet. I mean, like I obviously I've had it in my mind. I think for me, my immediate goal is probably to someday be a defensive coordinator.
Sure.
And if being a head coach comes into play, we'll see. I mean, the one thing I know that's kind of crazy to some people, like, you don't want to be a head coach, but like the thing that I've noticed when you're a head coach, sometimes it's hard. You take a step away from the kids, and some of those relationships are different because you have to put on that different hat. And I know some coaches do it well. I think if the situation allowed me to be as connected as I want to be with the players on that level and still be coaching, because that's the other thing, like, how many head coaches are coordinating and stuff like that. And they are out there. But like, I think it would be more predicated on the situation I'm in specifically, if I went down that road.
Gotcha.
Sure. That's interesting. So now my story is a little bit that I was an assistant coach for 12, 14 years. And then now I'm the head coach, been the head coach now going on the 4th year. Mm-hmm. And what you said is what I'm finding is that I'm spending most of my time coach, and it's the job, and I love it. So don't get it twisted. But I'm spending most of my time coaching coaches and doing logistics and things of that nature that you don't think about, right? I had the privilege of working with Nate for 5 years, and I was his assistant head coach. So I'm walking around, I got some head coach, but I had no idea all the work that man was putting in. So.
It sounded like your mom was a big mentor of yours growing up. Who would you say in this profession, in this coaching profession, is one of your mentors?
So that's the funny thing. Just the way I've been raised, one thing that I always learned from her was you can learn something from anybody. And so like I kind of like from that, developed, like, coaches became, mentors for me. And so every place I've been, I've kind of got somebody that I've latched onto. And I remember Ave Maria was my first coaching job, like I said. And when I was on the offensive side of the ball, it was crazy. I was coaching running backs and I had no clue. And here I go with a dude who had just been at a Division I school named Greg LaFair, another coach named Angelo Mirando, who had been, kind of this young, in the SEC or whatever. And they get me. They kind of just draw me. Like, it's like, okay, you the running backs coach now? And I don't know nothing about it. Like, I have no clue. But they really took me under their wing. And you had Greg, who was this, older coach, had, played at the University of Miami, but a family man at that point. He had, married with 3 kids. And then you had Mirando, who was, kind of a young and up-and-comer, single, kind of deal. And, Greg kind of was the guy that I met that showed me that no matter where your station is, and he was our offensive coordinator, there should never be any job too big, too small. Because at NAIA, it ain't that much different than high school at times. Like, I'm the one cutting the grass, I'm the one painting the field. Like, shoot, we put our hands together, we built our own locker room. Like, it was, it was crazy. But he would be out there and taking pride in how that grass looks. I mean, just would be upset, and I would note that, and I'm like, and I was always out there, I'm always willing to jump in and learn something. And, he was always patient with me, and I'd say, well, how do I coach this? And he's like, just be you. and let that kind of become your culture, the way your room goes. What do you want? What did you want as a player? And then Mirando had come from kind of that Urban Meyer, Tree, Dan Mullen, kind of those guys. And so he had been under those high pressure type environments where it's like, you know, he's the first one that I give him something, and why is this word not capitalized? Why does that line look like that? And I'm like, what is this? Like, you know, it's the playbook. And he's like, no, you don't turn in anything unless you did it with the full knowledge just that you're proud of it. Because this is the type of stuff when you're dealing at the college level, that's not okay. And so like those are the two that started out like kind of as mentors. And next I went into junior college, and I stayed with Coach Mirando there. I went to Coffeyville Community College, which is an entirely different animal altogether. Like just so you know. But I loved it. I learned so much from it. And you got to be around these guys and get to meet different people because, you know, and the talent is different, the mindset is different. And I'd say the next biggest influence though on me became after I got out of the junior college level and got to Arkansas State, a guy named Brian Early. Brian Early, he's now the D-line coach at the University of Houston, but he was there when Blake Anderson was the head coach. Blake Anderson just left to go to Utah State, and you know, Blake Anderson was a really good head coach, because he was one of those guys that I just talked about. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to be a head coach if I couldn't coach. And so he was a play caller still, but, you know, so it was easy for him to stay connected to people. And I was like, I like that. So between watching the way he did things and becoming really close with our D-line coach, like the way he is, I still talk to Coach Early very, very often, and just the way I coach here at UMass, a lot of those, the way you teach, the way you do practice, all that stuff, I'd say those have been my mentors. But I've always just tried to, if I meet anybody, you know, what can I learn from this interaction?
That's awesome. Coach, you're sharing some great stories, man. And listen, I got a couple questions for you. I did a little bit of research. So my next question is going to be to you, Equalizer or John Wick?
So you probably saw it on Twitter, man. It's a serious bone of contention, man. Like, you know, in the D-line room, we've had some real arguments, and they know me. I'm John Wick all day. I'm sorry, like it's just
okay.
The way he goes about it, like you got it. This is why, because the Equalizer, and it's hard because they're different. They really are different. It's hard.
Right. Okay.
Reason why I like John Wick, man, is he was minding his own business, man. They beat him up, they stole his car, and they killed his dog, and he turned the city up now. Like, it was over. Like, it was like, if you were in the way, frogs, cats, cows, old man, young man, big man, small man, it was over for you.
Everybody catching it.
So which one? Which one's the best one? If someone had never watched it, which one should they watch? You
gotta watch the first one, just because, like, the world they create, man, and he just man, they killed my dog. It's got to go down. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I just.
Gotcha.
His nickname is the Boogeyman, the Baba Yaga. I mean, come on, man. Like, come on.
Better than
the
that.
Baba Yaga. Wow.
And so I did my research too. It's funny you say that, Coach T. Tell us, Coach Douglas, about those letters, right? And I know we kind of talked about it offline, but could you tell us kind of how that started? And give a brief overall if people don't know.
So are you talking about the letters that I post?
Yes.
Like with my pictures?
Yes.
Okay. So really, that's not all on me. So when COVID happened, we really weren't sending physical letters out. So Coach Bell, my head coach, when it comes to recruiting, we've done one of our things. We try to be as connected to the guys as we can, as long as we can. And writing letters and stuff like that is always a big part of that. But so when everything kind of went to remote, they sent everybody home, and you had to figure out a way to reach these guys and, stay personal and things of that nature. They created these, and the app is honestly called Good Notes. It's awesome. And you can make these different templates. And so we had our templates so they could be personalized. And I also started using them just to share messages, something that might be on my heart that I felt like if it was big enough to me that I would share it with my guys, then why wouldn't I share it with everybody? Maybe somebody out there might connect with that.
Awesome. And so I'm sorry, Coach. I have not seen that. I'm just following, right? I'm just getting to know you a little bit. So go into so exactly what are you doing with these letters? What's happening?
Like I could kind of show you one. Let me see.
Because I think one of the big things that we're all doing is trying to figure out a way to stay connected during this time, right?
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this is like the app called Good Notes, and it's a template, and you literally, with my iPad, just write those letters. And like one of the more recent ones is, I'm not perfect by any means, but my faith is growing, and trying to, figure out ways to use my platform and things of that nature. And people are going through a hard time right now, and it's not completely over. I know that, COVID this and people aren't able to do everything they want to do. And you look at the story of Joseph, the son of Jacob, and it was just talking about like how he went through so many things. He was imprisoned at one point, he was sold into slavery, all these different things, but God was with him the whole time. And it was one of those stories that really hit me, that it was like, wow, like it's a bunch of people out here probably that could connect to that. You know what I mean? And so I wrote that, wrote kind of almost a journal entry. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes I use that same kind of platform to just write to my recruits, or I might have a message to share. Maybe I'm reading a certain book and I find a quote that I love, you know what I mean? And okay, let me jot that down. And if I love it, then I tweet it too. You know what I mean?
That's what's up. Hey, Coach, we have folks on the chat line. I don't know if you know much about our show, but most of what we're doing, again, we're hanging out with you. And again, Coach, I can't thank you enough. Some of the stories that you've already shared have been tremendous, and that's really kind of what we're here for, to really get to know folks. Anyway, we got folks on the chat line. I just want to kind of check in over there, see if there are any questions over there for you as well. And there actually are. So Coach Gardner over there says, he says, please tell us a little bit about that 645 deadlift.
So it's just one of those things, like I said, when I first started coaching, I was still a player. So like, I was like maybe 23 years old, like when I got into coaching. I was 23 years old. And so I was done playing, but I was still kind of in shape or whatever. And one of my buddies was kind of messing around with like powerlifting. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is stupid. But I always loved to lift weights. And like, I was kind of one of the stronger guys on the team. And we worked really hard at it. And so he did a meet, and I saw him in this singlet, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm down to wear that and get in front of all these people. And
Come on.
I was like, I don't know. But then he was like, dude, like you would probably be stronger than like 90% of the field today. And so I started messing with it, and I was like, all right. Like, so I started training for it, and then had my first amateur powerlifting meet and won. And then after that, I was like, well, this is kind of fun, because it was a way to compete, and it was like something I love to do. I still like to lift. I still, to me, I had a buddy, we always say, can't trust a skinny chef. And if I'm going to coach D lineman and we're putting the attitudes in there, I'm trying to be the strongest D lineman in the room still. You know what I mean? And so like, I ended up doing a couple more of those. I've done 3, 1, 2, took second and 1. So 645 pounds was my best deadlift. Yeah.
Wow. So you're a heavy hitter for real. That's for real. Hey, listen, we also, Coach, do a couple of games, and I gotta have you compete a little bit. You're gonna compete against Coach Watkins. Here's what we do. It is trivia. It's 3 questions, and obviously, so we and we will be no ties. Everything go. If there are any ties, we go to rock paper scissors. All right, we go to rock paper scissors. All right.
Oh boy.
All right. Before we get going, though, I always want to share a little bit of a fact, just something, and today's happened to be very interesting. I pull these before the show, and because it's just kind of stuff that I like to share, and today's is pretty interesting because of your story about your mom, right? Okay. Your mom being the educator, your mom being the person who drove you, and today's story is about Dr. Shirley Johnson. Dr. Shirley Johnson was the first black woman to earn a PhD in physics from MIT and invented the fiber optic cables and solar cells. So pretty much the only way we're able to have this show right now? Dr. Shirley Johnson.
That's awesome.
How about that? That is huge. That is huge. All right, let's jump into the game real quick. Make sure we don't have any problems here. All right, let's see here. All right, first question. Which of these was not invented by a black inventor? Was not invented by a black inventor.
Okay.
Peanut butter, crock pot, or the gas mask?
Crock pot.
Yeah.
You can choose it to its best 2 out of 3. I mean, it's best 2 out of 3, Coach. So whatever you think.
I was gonna say gas mask.
Okay. Watkins says crock pot, and Coach says gas mask. And the right answer is crock pot.
Yeah.
Crock pot was not invented by a black inventor. Both
Nice.
the gas mask and peanut butter were by black inventors. 1-0.
Okay.
1-0, Coach
Okay.
Douglas.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Oh, wait, Coach Douglas, I gotta tell you, before we really get going too hard, Coach Watkins is a sore loser sometime. So, you know.
Hey, man, ain't no such thing as a sore loser, man. If you're okay with losing, then.
But listen, ain't no such thing as a sore loser. It's just losers, right?
That's it. Ain't no sore loser. You just lost.
My man. All right, second question. It says, at the time of her historic bus incident, what was Rosa Parks' occupation? Was she a hospital orderly? Was she a drugstore clerk? Was she a department store seamstress? Or was she a maid?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, go give me, give
Okay.
me those.
1, was she a hospital orderly? 2, was she a drugstore clerk? 3, a department store seamstress? 4, a maid.
Number one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna go with the first one. I hope.
Okay. It's all good. So deemed the first lady of civil rights by Congress, she worked as a seamstress. So both of you were wrong. She was a department store seamstress.
And that wasn't even going to be my second guess.
That wasn't mine either.
That wasn't going to be my second guess either. Yeah.
You know what's funny is that I don't consider myself a historian at all, and I don't know the answers to these either. But that's the one that I was going with, just because there's something I remembered about she had worked her fingers to the bone per se, or something like that.
Yeah, I was
All right,
going to say maid is my second guess because I do remember that too. Like I remember that
Right.
specifically. Yeah.
Right. All right, third and final question. Going into the final round, the score is Coach Douglas 1, Coach Watkins 0.
Watkins
All right,
won.
here we go.
Other way.
Other way. Coach T trying to get me
Oh,
that.
wait.
Ain't no cheat
Oh,
code.
wait.
I know.
Wait.
I know.
Wait.
It's 1-0. He winning.
All right, my bad. Listen, and you know what's funny too, guys? I'm notorious for doing this with the kids too. I mix it up all the time. So listen, they always be like, Coach be trying to cheat. Coach tried to cheat for the underdogs.
Hey man, play it off like Jordan did, man. Like you was winning, now you losing. All right.
Right, that's what it is. All right, here we go. The final question. Be the first to name this musical artist. This black artist has stood the second this black artist has the second most #1 hits of all time.
Jay-Z.
Michael Jackson.
Some of the songs that this artist sings were Hero,
R. Kelly.
My All,
Usher.
Someday, Dream Lover.
Come on, Prince. It's before
I
my
got
time.
more.
Second.
Always Be My Baby.
Always be my baby. Man, I'm
spinning right now.
somebody gonna let me have it after this show.
Yes.
All right. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Mariah Carey?
Mariah Carey.
Oh, the wildest
Let's go.
hero. Yes, hero. Yes.
Yeah, Mariah
I'm
Carey.
thinking of a guy. I don't know why I was thinking of a guy.
Yeah, I was just
Right. Right. Well,
You say no ties.
Right.
No
Ain't
ties. I'm ready.
Ain't no way.
I'm
No
ready.
ties. It's rock paper scissors, baby.
So who is on you, Coach T?
All right. So I'm gonna say I will say rock paper scissors shoot.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right. Here we go. Rock paper scissors shoot.
Let's go.
Bang.
Let's go.
Coach Watkins be. Hey, listen. That's about the fourth one he's won
I
on
was
rock
about to say,
paper
man,
scissors.
you got a rock paper scissors app or something. You probably get ready for this every day, like you know. What I mean?
Look, taking practice rounds
Yeah,
with the
you know
kids and
what
stuff.
All right.
That was great, Coach. I appreciate
Right.
that. Just diving into some football. First thing I noticed, and I hope you could talk about it, just so other guys can learn. I saw last year you were the D-line coach. This year, are you transitioning into like a D tackles coach? And you guys having a DN. Can you elaborate more on that? Kind of like why? Like, I can see it's becoming more popular now too.
Yeah, it's becoming more common to split the room between the D tackles and the D ends, and you know it's not impossible, obviously, to have one coach having the whole front, and you know have come from that, have done that before, but there are some things like you know with the way football is becoming, you got D ends dropping into coverage and things like that, how do you navigate your individual like drill time when you got your nose tackle who all you worried about is how he's going to play that shade or is he going to take care of the double team, but at the same time you got to worry about this DN out here who's got to know what the hook curl area is, or he's got to, you know, all that kind of stuff going on. He's got a sticks technique, you know, and different things like that. So, you know, regardless of scheme, I understand why, you know, people, including ourselves, has gone to, you know, having two coaches in that room, one to coach the edge and one to coach the interior. So I now have the DTs. Like last year, or when I first got here, we were a primarily kind of a 3-4 type team. And so that was, you know, trying to manage that time with, like I said, the coverage aspect, but then you got those bigs who you got to take care of that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's awesome. I see that a lot also trickling down in the high school where, you know, if you're able to, you know, different coaches coaching those different positions. I think when you do that, it just gives more clarity to the kids.
Absolutely. You can get more specific, you know what I mean, and like really, really detail with it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So go ahead, Coach.
No, go ahead. You Coach T.
I was really just asking, Coach. So it sounds like you had your stint as the running backs coach, then the DBs. I mean, then the defensive line coach. Are those the only two positions you've coached?
So it's funny because, like, as I said, I played outside linebacker in college. My first 3 years, I did not touch the defensive side of the ball. I was running backs the first year, receivers the next year, tight ends the third year. And then finally, I got to the defensive line, like in my fourth year of coaching. So I think it's been a huge benefit, though. Like I honestly do. You know.
Can you elaborate more on that? Just because I've been in that same boat, Coach. I played wide receiver in college, and then I got my first coaching opportunity on the defensive side. Then I coached a little bit of offense, but it helped me as a defensive coordinator because now at least I think I know kind of what the offense is trying to do. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when you think of, especially the positions I've coached, when you talk running backs and tight ends and alone, like you start to understand, you have a better knowledge of the offensive line.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that tight end lives in both worlds. That running back has to be, you know, cognizant of protection issues and things like that, usually in the protection scheme. And then receiver, if you're coaching receiver, you got to understand coverages. You know what I'm saying, in terms of sight adjustments or things like that. So you really do kind of get, and it was funny, we had like a JV squad and I actually got to coordinate offensively one of those games. And so it's like, you really just get to understand, you know, what certain alignments mean and the importance of it or things like that. So when I flipped over to D-line, I already kind of knew in my mind the language of an offensive lineman, like what are they trying to get accomplished by this block? You know what I'm saying? And so like that was huge to me. And I think, you know, as a benefit, if you can ever do that. It's weird now though, because you don't see many people flip-flop sides. You know what I mean? But it was a huge benefit when I did it.
And just for your philosophy, 'cause I know a lot of guys probably want to know, Coach, what's your philosophy when you go in day one? What's kind of some of the things you go over with your guys?
I think for me, I know everybody throws around the word culture, but I truly do believe, from a philosophy standpoint, you have to have a kind of a set of the way you guys live, the way you do business. And like for me, a quote that I got from, one of my mentors, Brian Early, and I'm sure he heard it from somebody else. It's not like it's probably brand new, but it's how you do anything is how you do everything. And that's day one. I introduced that because it's in terms of how you wake up in the morning, make your bed, brush your teeth, get ready for the day. The detail you do that with leads to how you go to class, how you take your notes, how you talk to your professors and all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, all those things add up to the detail you put into the way you prepare each week. Because to me, if you don't have the ability to do those things on your own outside of this, then you'll never practice at a high level. You'll never prepare with great detail. And then obviously, then that means you won't perform on Saturdays at the level that you want or that we want. And so I think it starts with that. And then the feeling of, in terms of a family, like I am my brother's keeper. I've never, ever understood how, a kid is sleeping in or he's late to something and he's got a teammate that's his roommate. Like, I'm gonna get the kid to fell asleep. Don't get me wrong. Like the guy that overslept, whatever. But the dude I'm most mad at is the teammate. Because are you really a teammate when you would allow somebody to do that? And so, like in my room, day one, it's established like it's not you, it's us, it's we. You know what I mean? And how you do anything, how you prepare is a direct reflection of how much you care about the guy in the chair next to you. Because in the D-line room, everybody wants to talk about Aaron Donald or this guy, but understand, like, it's because those other guys do what they need to do that he gets so many one-on-ones or whatever the case may be. And like, if they're all worried about him, then somebody else gets to eat. And so like, that's kind of where I start from a philosophy standpoint, and a relationship of, I say, I'm not your friend, and I'm not necessarily your brother, I'm your uncle coach. You know what I mean? Like, I want to
I'm your uncle coach.
have a relationship with you that you feel very comfortable with me and understand that I will do anything I can to help you achieve your goals. But at the same time, I can only care as much as you care. You know what I mean? We have to invest in each other, and we, as a player coach and as teammates. And I think ultimately, that's what's helped build my rooms, regardless of the position, because I like to get it to the point where I stop having to correct guys. Like where we're doing a drill and the other guys that have been doing it long enough, they know that, hey, that wasn't a game rep. You know what I mean? And the standard being like, I've heard from another coach I look up to, the circumstances cannot dictate the standard. Like no matter what is going on, that's Trooper Taylor, by the way, he's over at Duke, but he was with me at Arkansas State. He used to say that all the time. And I thought about that very much so. And the way you talk to those guys, like, listen, we've been going through a lot of, hard things to play because Massachusetts has been tough with restrictions with COVID, but I don't care. I don't, because who is also not going to care? The dude that's wearing a different color jersey. And so, like, I kind of hit him with this, from a standpoint of that samurai mindset. Like, if you think back to those samurais, they didn't have text messages to say this another group of dudes is about to come attack you. So you had to prepare as if it's a nameless, faceless opponent, right? And you just better hope that when you prepare to, you don't know how hard he's been working. So you should have hopefully been training every day, right? At a level that whenever your paths cross, you're going to be ready to win that battle. So I think a lot of that kind of, when I talk philosophy, that's kind of where it builds into each other. But it's more of a level of a standard, so to speak, in a community of how we do things. And I think that pushes us all along.
Man, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Hey, Coach, listen, got a couple more questions for you. Before we do, I want to check in on our chat line a little bit, see what those guys are doing over there. Give a shout out to our sponsor. We're being sponsored this month, all month long, by QB School. QB School is the home of the best football analysis on YouTube. 8 million views and over 100,000 subscribers have watched as JT O'Sullivan, a former 8-year QB with a PhD, break down football. In addition, a new QB course entitled Master Pass Protection, a QB Lens, is available now. There's also a free Pass Pro quiz that will test your knowledge and rank you. Check it out. Check them out at qbschool.com. I think it's going to be linked down here or up there or wherever production links things. Also, check us out at chiefpigskin.com. There's always new content on the clinic. That's clinic.chiefpigskin.com. And when it's not on the clinic, it's being moved to the store. That's store.chiefpigskin.com. Great content, fellas. Lots of different information out here for football coaches trying to get better, and that's what's up.
Any questions in the chat, Coach T?
Let's see who we got over there. We've got guys that have been rocking with us. Coach Ben Campos is with us. Justin Robinson is with us. Dave Thompson is with us. John Warren's with us. John Warren knew the answer to our Rosa Parks question. I think he chimed in before you guys and said a seamstress. We got Coach Allball's in with us. Coach Gardner is always there. Jason Thompson is with us as well. It looks like, Coach, as you were telling your story about your mom being the person who took care of you, it looked like on this chat line it really got the guys talking. I'm not going to really bring too much of it up, but it is really awesome to see stories being told like that. I think oftentimes us football coaches, we think we're a little too tough to tell these stories that you don't want nobody to think you soft, right? I don't want nobody to think I'm soft, and I think that's the real time when you're able to make those connections, when you're able to go past what you think is supposed to be football. So again, Coach, I appreciate you sharing that story with us.
So before I let you go, Coach, I do want to talk run game. It's always the topic every time in a Zoom and chat. How run game. So for you, Coach, where do you start? Right? Say you're about to go, you got Pitt first week, but I'll give it too much information away. Where do you start with game planning for stopping Pitt's run game?
I think the biggest thing, and everybody has their own system, and I think the number one thing, you got to find out what they feel they do well. You know what I mean? What do they think they hang their hat on? And I think that's just easy when it comes to statistics. Like, you are what you put on tape. So, like, I don't believe in chasing ghosts. Like, if you see this is what they do, this is what they do. So formational tendencies, like, every time, not every time, but just the highest amount of times that they run inside zone or they run power, the back is aligned here, or the tight end is here, or it's a 10 picture, it's 11 personnel, they're a 12 personnel team, things of that nature. I think you got to start there, like, not just tendencying things out. Like, where is the meat of what they do? Like, if you turn on the tape after you get done, what are you probably going to see? And I think that's where you start and what you have to stop. Like, I think it makes no sense to start anywhere else, other than what you see on tape.
Yeah, that's definitely the place to start. Coach, my question for you, I heard you mention earlier that you are appreciative to have the platform that you have to do some of the things that you're doing. So my question to you is, first, do you think as a coach, specifically a black coach, do you think it is your job to use your platform to further social justice? I think to me, I don't believe in you doing something just because somebody says you need to do it. I think if you feel that conviction to do that, absolutely, I do. You know what I mean? I feel like for me to be able to say something about something I see or something that's going on, you can't be scared to do that. And it's a problem if you're somewhere where it's an issue where that's, that can't be heard. You know what I mean? I do think that's important. You know what I mean? Like, I think, Coach was asking me, where did I get to posting pictures every day through Black History Month? And like, the big thing for me was like, it's just like that game. I was a history major, but I don't use it every day. Like, you know what I mean? I don't go back into that bag very often. And so, for me, the other thing is like, everybody just wants you to give them the information, right? But in my mind, I'm like, well, every day this month, I'm gonna put a picture of somebody in history with their name. And it's your job, right, to take some onus of that
and go research them. Like, why are they famous? Instead of me giving them a paragraph telling them exactly what they did. Like, they got Google just like everybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and so like, I think that if I'm doing that, that might open somebody's, like, wow, like, for example, like, you know, in hindsight, you think about, wow, the gas mask, or you think about different things like that they have no idea who invented it, the comb or with the mop, whatever the case may be. Like, they might have no idea, you know, that person, like some of the people that have been influential. So I think it's important, like, if you can, why not, you know?
Right. Yeah. You Coach, you say they might not. I think most of the time they do not.
Yeah.
Right. I think, you know, it's not often that even us as Black people take the proper amount of time to give credit to those who have come before us that have done some of these things that they've done. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I ain't being hypocritical, because I'm saying I'm starting with me, right? Mm-hmm. Some of these things that are Black history facts, I don't know, mm-hmm. right? I'm reading these things, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, to have these platforms that we do have, right, to be able to share some of these things, I think it's an awesome thing, and I understand that I have to work harder to
Absolutely.
do those things, right? And so to hear you say, you know, you're not just giving the information, you're sharing a part of the information, but then you have to go back and find some. That's awesome to hear. That's a great spin to put on it. You know?
Like you said too, like, it forces me to, like, as I'm posting, I'm learning. If I did know, I'm reminding myself. If I didn't know, I'm learning. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's good for all of us.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Because a lot of stuff you posted, I found myself having to Google and say, oh, okay, now I know who this person is, or wow, that's what this person looks like, right? Two-part question here, Coach, and then we'll let you go. First one, 4 down or 3 down, and why? And then the second one, I hope you teach this so you can tell us about it. If not, it's okay. 2-gap. How do we 2-gap?
Let's see. So I'll be honest with you. I've coached in both fronts. I'd say any real D-line coach though is going. If you ask him what in his heart, what does he want to be?
Right. That's what we asking you.
And he's going to want to be 4 down. And why? Because your guys are going to have more opportunities to make more plays. You know what I mean? Just from a being aggressive standpoint. Because to me, if you want those guys out of a 3 down front to be able to do that, you got to move them. Because 3 down is 3 on 5. Like, we're going to end up in some situations a lot more where we're on our own, and it's designed to eat up those inside gaps, let those backers run, right, in 3 down, right? So in 4 down, right, we kind of can be a little bit more aggressive, you know, for ourselves. You get in pass rush situations, you have natural one-on-ones that develop, you know what I mean? So if you're asking the D-line coach, 4 down, maybe even 5 down. Like, it's not even there, you know what I mean? Like, that's just me. Like, if I'm a DC, I'm probably gonna go 3, 4, just to, you know, I get it, I understand it, you know what I mean? And, you know, let's see.
That's the answer. That's the defensive line.
That's the defensive line answer.
Right, gotcha. And then,
so 2-gapping. So 2-gapping. I mean, it just depends on who you are. Like, I think who you have. I think more importantly though, if you ask the coach in me, what front are you? Who do I have? You know what I mean? I think the biggest issue to me is, like, if I'm a this guy or I'm a that guy. Well, what are your players? You don't play. You know what I mean? Like, they gotta play. So it's like, right. You know what I mean? Are they capable of that? Now, if you got a bunch of big, strong jokers that understand, you know, how to play with great hands and leverage, and you think that they can handle 2-gapping, you know what I mean? That's good. I think you have to give them rules with that though. Because, you know, you get back there, that linebacker just sitting there looking and waiting on you to do something, and you over here. You know what I mean? Where is he supposed to fit? You know what I mean? Because I think ultimately, whatever you do, the coverage in the back and the fits have to marry up. Like, you can't just be doing certain things and then, you know, because that's how you get killed in the college game. Like, how are we fitting this up? You know what I mean? And so, like, it's like, well, I want to be this front or that front. That's fine. You can be whatever front you want. But where's your support players coming from? Like, what gap are they responsible for? I think that, and then that, again, dictates personnel. Like, where are your best players at? You know what I mean? So, but the 2-gap situation, for me, like, for example, if we're playing a 4-eye, which inside half of a tackle, or I'm playing a 0, where we're backside half, we're aggressive lag, as I call it, where we're playing a backside half. But if you're giving them the freedom, the number one thing is you can't leave that gap until the ball carrier declares you should. So like a lot of the times those kids will be in there and then they just get rid of a dude and they don't realize that running backs get scholarships too, right? Or they're talented too, and then they go step on the toes of that or the heels of that O-lineman and they cut where you left. So I think it's very important, the number one thing is you have to be able to control your guy with good hand placement, right? Good body position, good base, good leverage. And once you peak and he declares, now I can get rid of that guy and I can go play in that other gap. And if you have the dudes to do it, it's awesome. There's a bunch of different ways you can get that done too. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Hey, Coach, man, I think we've taken up plenty of your time. It has been such a pleasure, my brother. I'm telling you, listening to your story, listening to how you do things. You've brought some football knowledge here. Do this for me before you leave. Would you mind giving out some contact info for anybody that may maybe want to contact you? Again, you've dropped some knowledge, and I'm sure folks may want to follow up.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of my Twitter is just at Coach CD2. CD like the old school music deal, the number 2. And then I guess if you wanted my email, I'd rather give you my personal, the one that I use. Sure. If you're talking about football and stuff like that, would be cldouglas@umass.edu. Like that's how, if it's coming through football wise, if you got questions like that, like that's an easy way. I see it and I get a bunch of emails. I try to get back to you as soon as I can. You know what I mean? Obviously, Twitter has become this thing that just your hand is always attached to. So you hit me in a DM, I probably catch you, see it because it's a notification right there. It's in my hand. So either way is good.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Coach. Well, I appreciate that. We're super excited to have your buddy on tomorrow, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I appreciate you linking us up with him and appreciate.
Hey, shoot, and I forgot to mention him, man. He's a great dude, man. You're gonna enjoy talking to him. He's becoming one of my mentors. I love talking to him just because of his wealth of experience and knowledge. So he's gonna be a good one to have on.
Awesome. Hey, if you're free, Coach, would you can join us as well. Slide into the chat room with those guys. I'm sure we most of the time have the same guys rocking in there, having some conversation. I'm sure they'd love to have you join in and join in that conversation if you're free.
Awesome.
Again, thank you for being on the show tonight, brother. God bless you. Have a great one.
Thank you for having me. Good night.
Good night. Coach. That's all. Look, that's all I can do right there.
That was all.
They're
good knowledge. I was over here taking notes. Man, I'm so thankful Coach Russman was able to get along for us. And man, I was excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, and there's really nothing. There's nothing for you and I to say to put a cap on that. I think Coach put a cap on it for himself. So, brother.
Tomorrow.
Yes, sir. God willing, I will see you the same time tomorrow, my man.
Have a good one, Coach.
All right, you as well. For those of you on the chat line, I appreciate you guys rocking with us all night long. I know we went a few minutes late or a few minutes into the hour, but it just is what it is when you have a good conversation when it's rolling like that. You don't want to cut it off. So, guys, I will see you tomorrow.